Welcome in the class of water resource engineering. So we are learning the hydrology. So far we have learned what is hydrology, what are the types of or what is the precipitation, then measurement of precipitation by using rain gauges and type of the rain gauges. I'm Mr. Sugule, Assistant Professor, Civil Engineering Department. Now the optimum number of rain gauges. Statistics has been used to determine the optimum number of rain gauges required to install in a given catchment. The basis behind such statistical calculation is that a certain number of rain gauge stations are necessary to give average rainfall with a certain percentage of error. Obviously, uh, there will be some percentage of error. There will be some missing calculations or missing station, or sometimes the instrumental errors are there. So, by keeping all these things in mind, we have to take the or place the optimum number of rain gauges. So, the certain number of rain gauge stations are necessary to give average rainfall with a certain percentage of error. If the allowable error is more, lesser number of gauges would be required. The optimum number of rain gauges, that is n, is obtained by using n equals to Cv divided by E bracket square. Cv is nothing but the coefficient of variation of rainfall based on the existing rain gauge stations, and E is the allowable percentage error in the estimate of basic mean rainfall. So basically, the decision of how much rain gauges we need to place, that has been depending upon the coefficient of variation of rainfall based on existing rain gauge stations, that is how much variation is there in the rainfall, and next thing is the allowable percentage of error, that how much error we can allow in the calculation of or estimation of rainfall. So now estimating missing rainfall data. So due to absence of observer or instrumental failure, as I told you earlier, rainfall data record occasionally are incomplete. In such case, one can estimate the missing data by using the nearest station rainfall data. For example, rainfall data at day 1 is missed from station X. Suppose there are n number of stations. Uh, Likewise, it is something like what we are going to do when we are unable to take the attendance. What we are used to do, we check the attendance for the earlier lecture as well as the later lecture, and according to which we can estimate how much students are present, or who is present for the attendance. Likewise, this thing can be done. So the rainfall data at day 1 is missed from the station X, having mean annual rainfalls of Nx, and there are three surrounding stations with mean annual rainfall, that is N1, N2 and N3. Then missing data Px can be estimated. So this can be estimated by arithmetic mean method, that is if N1, N2 and N3 differ within the 10% of Nx, that Px equals to P1 plus P2 plus P3 divided by 3. So average of all these three. Then there is a normal ratio method, that is if n1, n2 or n3 differed by more than 10% of nx, then px equals to one third of p1 into nx divided by n1 plus p2 into nx divided by n2 and p3 into nx divided by n3. Then third method is reciprocal inverse weighing factor. So by this factor, or by this method, we can estimate like px equals to summation of 1 divided by xn into bracket summation of pn divided by xn, where this xn is the distance between the missing data gauge and other gauges surrounding the missed gauge. So these are the ways to calculate the estimating missing rainfall data. Now, the estimation of average depth of the rainfall over a catchment. So, first is the arithmetic mean method. The central assumption for arithmetic mean method is that each rain gauge has equal weightage, and thus the mean depth over a watershed is estimated by P dash equals to P1 plus P2 up to Pn divided by n. It is nothing but 1 divided by into summation of I equals to 1 to n up to, or summation of pi from 1 to n. So it is a simple method and well applicable if rain gauges are normally distributed over the watershed and individual gauge measurement do not vary greatly about their mean. So basically this method is adaptable where the equal rainfall is there, or in catchment area where the equal rainfall is there. So this method can be useful. And second is Thiesen's polygon method. So any point in the watershed receives the same amount of rainfall as that of the nearest gauge. The rainfall recorded at the gauge can be applied to any point at a distance halfway to the next station in any direction. So steps in this Thyssen polygon method is, we have to draw a lines adjoining the adjacent gauges, as you can see over here, this P1, P2 and P3. When then we have to draw uh, perpendicular bisectors to the lines created in steps 1, that is like this. These are the perpendicular bisectors. These are the perpendicular bisectors. Then extend the line created in step 2 in both directions to form a representative area for the gauges. So by extending all these lines, what we will get is this area has been divided into these small areas, that is A1, A2 and A3, as you can see over here. So we have to compute the representative area in each gauge. Then we have to compute the areal average using the following, that is P dash equals to 1 upon A, that is A1 or AI Pi, that is I equals to 1 to n. So P dash equals to, as you can see over here, we'll take as an example, P1 is 10 mm and area is 12 kilometers. P2 is reading, that is 20 mm and area is 15, and P3 is 30, area is 20 kilometers square. So by that way we can uh, calculate, that is P bar. So 12 into 10, 15 into 20 plus 20 into 30, these respective P1 and A1 divided by 47, that becomes 20.7 mm. So this way we can calculate the rainfall. The disadvantage of advantage of this method are its inflexibility, that it is addition of the new station implies the construction of new polygon, and it does not directly account for orthographic influence of the rainfall. So if you add a new station over here, so again we need to revise all these calculations. So that is the biggest advantage of this method. The next method is isohyets method. So isohyets are contour or lines linking the point of equal rainfall or precipitation rate, considered as one of the most accurate method, although subjective and depend on the skill and good knowledge of the catchment's rainfall characteristics. Isohyets are drawn at chosen intervals across the catchment by interpolating between the gauge measurement, taking into account the topography. So you might have drawn the contour lines. Same way we have to draw these isohyets. The advantage of this method, it is good where the dense network of rain gauges is there. It is also flexible and consider orographic effect. So actually it is same as the we are taking the contours. As we are keeping the interval less, the most accurate contour lines will be drawn. So here you can see these are the isohyets. So what are the steps? To construct the isohyets, that is rainfall contours, compute the area between each pair of adjacent isohyets, that is AI. So you can see here, compute the average precipitation for each pair of the adjacent isohyets, that is Pi. Compute the real average using this formula, that is P dash equals to 1 upon A, that is AI into Pi, summation of AI Pi, and this I equals to 1 to n. So here you can see this is the isohyets method. Now, double mask curve. So it is used to detect if the data at a site been subjected to a significant change in magnitude due to external factors such as problems with instrumentation, observation practices, or recording conditions. It consists of plotting a cumulative rainfall values at a test station against the cumulative mean rainfall values at surrounding, that is base station. If the data is consistent, the double mask curve will be in a straight line at a constant slope. If the data is not consistent, a break in double mask curve will be appear. So here you can see this is the break. Either the line will be like this. Here you can see this is the cumulative rainfall at test station and this is the cumulative value of surrounding stations. Now the ratio of slope prior E and after the break B can be used to adjust the data in two ways. This is, you can see, data adjusted and data adjusted to reflect the conditions after the break. So first, data can be adjusted to reflect the condition prior to the break. This can be done by multiplying each precipitation value after the break by ratio A by B. So you can see this is A, this is B. These are the nothing but the slope of these lines. The data can be adjusted to reflect recent conditions after the break. This can be done by multiplying each precipitation value prior. This is all for today's lecture. Thank you.